You might have a little bottle of castor oil tucked away in your bathroom cabinet right now. Maybe it belonged to your mother. Maybe it's been sitting there for years, half-used, waiting. It's the kind of thing that feels like a relic, something from a time when people relied on kitchen remedies and quiet routines instead of shelves full of products. But what if that humble bottle still held something powerful? What if it could do more for you now than it ever did before? Because here's the truth. After 60, our bodies begin to whisper instead of shout. The signs of what we need are softer: tightness in the skin, restless nights, thinning hair, slower digestion, a touch of swelling here and there. These aren't emergencies. They're invitations. Invitations to pause, to listen, and sometimes to return to the things that once worked, before everything got complicated. Castor oil is one of those things. Not trendy, not flashy, but deeply rooted in generations of healing. It's been used quietly, consistently, and lovingly by those who believed in care, not cures. And today, it may be just what your body is asking for. No harsh chemicals, no big expense, just warmth, touch, and time. In this video, I'm going to walk with you through 6 gentle, science-backed ways castor oil can support your health and comfort, especially when used at night right before bed. From softening your skin to easing your sleep, from helping your hair feel stronger to giving your immune system a lift. Every tip is simple. Every one is doable. And every one is for you. Because feeling cared for doesn't stop at any age. It deepens. Let's begin. Part 1. Softening dry, aging skin. Let me ask you something tender, something real. Have you ever looked down at your hands? The same hands that once braided hair, stirred soup, folded laundry for a growing family, and felt like they didn't quite feel like yours anymore? Maybe they feel thinner, drier, more delicate than they used to. Maybe they crack more easily in winter or itch when the weather shifts. You rub lotion on them, but by morning, they're dry again. Or maybe you've just quietly gotten used to the idea that soft skin isn't something meant for you anymore. But I want to gently challenge that thought today. Because the truth is, we don't stop deserving softness simply because we've passed a certain birthday. We don't stop being worthy of touch, of care, of feeling comfortable in our own skin, just because the world becomes a little less focused on us. In fact, this is exactly the moment to come back to ourselves. And sometimes it starts with something as simple as an old-fashioned bottle of castor oil. Castor oil isn't flashy. It doesn't have a floral label or promise overnight miracles. But what it does have is power, and not the kind that shouts. It's the kind of power our generation understands. Quiet, steady, dependable. Rich in ricinoleic acid, castor oil has been used for centuries to soothe, to hydrate, and to heal. Unlike many commercial lotions that evaporate quickly or contain drying alcohols and artificial fragrances, castor oil is thick and slow. It doesn't just sit on the surface. It wraps the skin in deep, long-lasting moisture, staying put through the night to nourish those places we forget to notice. The rough elbows, the cracking heels, the thinning skin on our hands and forearms. And maybe more important than what it does chemically is what it does emotionally. Creating a bedtime routine around castor oil is more than skincare. It's an affirmation. It's saying to yourself, I still matter. This body, this skin, this life, they're all still worthy of being cherished. when we massage our hands with warmth and intention, when we care for our feet after a long day, when we gently rub oil into tired knees or elbows, we're not just softening the skin, we're softening the way we speak to ourselves. If you'd like to try this, here's a beautiful little ritual to make it your own. Start by choosing a high-quality castor oil. Look for labels that say cold-pressed and hexane-free. These are the purest forms, free from harsh chemicals. Before bed, wash your hands and gently pat dry. Take 2 or 3 drops of oil in your palms and rub them together, warming the oil with the heat of your skin. Then begin to massage it into dry areas, your hands, your elbows, your feet, using slow, circular motions. Don't rush. This is not a chore. It's a gift. A way of turning attention inward, of tuning out the noise of the day and turning up the volume on kindness. If you'd like a lighter blend, you can mix your castor oil with a bit of almond oil or coconut oil, both of which add a lovely softness and a hint of scent. If you're worried about your sheets, simply wear a pair of soft cotton socks or gloves after applying, allowing the oil to work through the night undisturbed. And here's a tip passed down from an older friend of mine. If you've been out gardening, or washing dishes, or folding clothes all day, try soaking your hands or feet in warm water for 5 minutes before applying castor oil. It opens up the pores and lets the oil soak in deeper. You'll wake up amazed at the difference. Over time, you'll notice not only that your skin feels softer, but that you feel more connected to yourself. Because aging doesn't mean fading. It means adjusting. It means leaning into new kinds of care that meet us where we are. Care that doesn't try to turn us into who we used to be, but honors who we are right now. So tonight, when the house is quiet and the lights are low, take 5 minutes for your skin. Let castor oil be more than a remedy. Let it be a reminder, a ritual, a reclaiming of softness, not just on your skin, but in your spirit. You still matter. Your softness still matters. And this small, simple act of care, it matters more than you know. Part 2. Calming the mind and supporting sleep. The nights feel different as we age, don't they? The quiet isn't always peaceful. It can be loud with thoughts. You lie there in the dark, shifting your legs, fluffing the pillow, adjusting the covers. Your body is tired, but your mind, it wanders. It replays conversations, relives old moments, remembers someone's birthday, someone else's medicine, a task that didn't get done. Even when the house is still, rest can feel just out of reach. If you've ever watched the clock turn from 1:22 to 2:05, you know this feeling. And if you've ever stared at the ceiling wishing your thoughts would hush just for a moment, you are not alone. This isn't about having insomnia like a diagnosis. It's about needing peace. And after a lifetime of showing up for everyone else, maybe, just maybe, it's time to show up for yourself at bedtime. That's why castor oil isn't just for the body, it's for the mind. And it's not new. For generations, women have used it as part of quiet nighttime rituals. In Ayurveda, the ancient Indian tradition of medicine, castor oil has long been seen as a calming, balancing substance, particularly when applied to the skin in small, intentional ways. One of the most soothing? A gentle dab on your eyelids before bed. Yes, you heard that right. Just a dot, no bigger than a pinhead, massaged over closed lids with clean fingertips. The skin there is delicate, absorbent, and when touched gently tells the nervous system, "You're safe now. You can let go." The oil itself is thick and warming, and that warmth becomes a kind of lullaby. It doesn't knock you out. It welcomes you into rest. Want to take it further? Add a drop of lavender or chamomile essential oil to a teaspoon of castor oil and massage it into your temples or the back of your neck. Use soft circles. Breathe as you do it. Not rushed. Not to get sleepy fast. Just slow, steady breaths, like you're inviting the day to end. On your terms. This isn't about a miracle cure for sleeplessness. It's about building a rhythm, a ritual, a gentle, sacred signal to your body that it's time to stop holding so much. Because you've done enough today. You've carried enough. You've fixed enough. And peace. Peace isn't something you have to earn with more doing. It's something you remember, something that lives in you. Castor oil, in this way, is like a bridge. To bring you back to it, if you have trouble sleeping through the night, try pairing your oil ritual with a short foot soak. Warm water, a towel, and a moment to be still. Or if your hands are stiff from the day, rub a little oil there too. You'll notice something subtle begin to shift. Not because the oil is magic, but because you are finally pausing, finally listening, finally letting yourself soften. And maybe that's what rest really is. Not the absence of noise, but the presence of gentleness, of attention, of remembering what it feels like to be quiet with yourself, not out of loneliness, but out of love. So tonight, when the world grows still, take a moment for you. Let your hands move slowly. Let your breath deepen. Let castor oil become not just something you use, but something that holds space for your rest. Because peaceful sleep isn't a luxury, it's your birthright. And your body still remembers how. It's just waiting for the cue. Part 3. Nurturing thinning hair and brows. It often starts quietly, a little more hair in the brush, a part that looks wider in the mirror. Eyebrows that once framed our expressions now fading softly into the background. And eyelashes, once full, once fluttering, now sparse and delicate. These changes are so gradual we hardly notice, until one day we do. Hair carries memory. It holds the way we wore it when we danced at our wedding. The style we had when we started a new job, raised our kids, took that trip of a lifetime. And as it thins or changes, it can feel like a part of us is fading too. But here's the truth that deserves saying. Thinning hair is not a flaw. It's not a sign of failure. It's a chapter. Just one of many. And like every chapter, it still deserves attention. Not out of vanity, out of dignity. This is where castor oil becomes more than a home remedy. It becomes a form of care, a whisper to the roots of our being that says, "You're still here. You still matter." Rich in ricinoleic acid, castor oil is known to support healthy circulation in the scalp. And when blood flow improves, so does the delivery of nutrients to hair follicles. That means stronger roots, less breakage, and in time, a fuller appearance, especially when used regularly and mindfully. Here's how to bring this ritual into your evening. Take a teaspoon of cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil and warm it between your fingers. Then gently massage it into your scalp, Not rushed, not as a chore, but as an invitation to slow down. Use small circles, letting your fingertips wake the skin, letting your breath deepen. If your scalp has felt itchy, irritated, or just forgotten, this is healing. For brows and lashes, a simple clean cotton swab will do. Just dip the tip into a drop of oil, then trace gently along your brows or the base of your lashes. Think of all the emotions these little hairs have helped express through the years. Joy, curiosity, surprise. They're worth nurturing, not because you need to look young, but because every detail of your face still tells your story. This isn't about reclaiming youth. It's about honoring presence. The kind that says, I haven't given up on myself. And no, this isn't an overnight miracle. But what it is a promise. A quiet, consistent act of self-respect. You'll begin to feel the difference before you see it. The softness of your scalp, the calm that follows the ritual, the confidence that returns when you see that you've shown up for yourself. So if your hair feels finer, if your brows seem lighter, if your reflection has shifted in ways you didn't expect, know this: you're not fading. You're evolving. And with just a few drops of castor oil and a few minutes each night, you can remind yourself, gently, patiently, that care never goes out of style. Part 4. Supporting the immune and lymphatic system. You know those days where everything just feels heavy? The body's moving slower, the rings fit a little tighter, the ankles feel puffy by evening. You're not quite sick, but you're not quite well either. It's a kind of tiredness that doesn't always show up in lab tests, but you feel it. Deep in your bones, in your belly, in that quiet place that says, I'm carrying more than I should. That quiet weight? It's often our lymphatic system calling out for attention. The lymphatic system is one of the body's most overlooked caretakers. It doesn't shout like pain or fever. Instead, it whispers through swelling, brain fog, or that nagging feeling of just not being fully clear. As we age, it can become sluggish, and with it, our immune system slows too. But just because that process is quiet doesn't mean we have to ignore it. And here's where castor oil, once again, becomes a soft kind of miracle. When used as a warm pack placed over the abdomen, especially over the liver area, castor oil gently stimulates the lymphatic system. It encourages flow, detox, and deeper rest without needing a single pill. It's not just folk medicine, either. Small studies and countless women's lived experience confirm what our grandmothers already knew. Warmth, oil, and time can help move what's been stuck. Here's the ritual. Saturate a piece of flannel with cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil. Lay down on a towel, place the pack over your lower abdomen or just beneath the rib cage. Cover it with plastic wrap, then a heating pad. Close your eyes. Rest for 30 to 45 minutes. No scrolling, no multitasking. Just breathe. Maybe light a candle. Maybe play music that feels like medicine. Do this 2 to 3 times a week. Not as punishment, as permission. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't need spa music or silk pajamas. All you need is the willingness to say yes. To healing. To slowing down. To tending the systems inside that have taken care of you for decades. It's okay to give back now. Because the truth is, healing isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, slow, and deep. Sometimes it looks like a warmed cloth, a still room, and a moment of grace. And as you lay there, supported by that soft heat, you may find something else stirring. Not just a physical release, but an emotional one. Maybe tears, maybe peace, maybe a simple exhale that says, "I didn't know how much I needed this." You've spent a lifetime being strong, caring for others, carrying weight that wasn't always yours. This ritual? It's a reminder that you don't always have to hold so tightly, that you can let go, that you're still worthy of softness and support, not because you've earned it, but because you exist. So say a gentle yes. Yes to slowing down. Yes to listening in. Yes to healing. The kind that starts not in the clinic, but in your own home. With oil, with warmth, and with the sacred act of choosing to care. Part 5. Natural relief for occasional constipation. Let's talk about something that's rarely discussed openly, but affects nearly all of us as we get older. Constipation. It's one of those quiet discomforts, the kind you often put off mentioning, even to your closest friends or your doctor. But it's there. When you feel bloated for no reason, when the scale won't budge, or when your mood feels just a bit off without explanation. Because the truth is, when your body feels heavy, your spirit can too. Digestion doesn't move the same way it used to. Slower metabolism, medications, dehydration, or simply less movement in our daily lives. It all adds up. You might go a day, then 2, waiting for relief that doesn't come. And that uncomfortable fullness? It's not just physical. It can cloud your thoughts, dull your energy, and make even the simplest days feel frustrating. Enter castor oil, not as a miracle cure, not as a daily fix, but as a gentle, occasional support when your system needs a nudge. For generations, castor oil has been used as a natural stimulant laxative. Just 1 teaspoon, no more, taken on an empty stomach before bed, followed by a glass of warm water or juice, can encourage movement in the morning. No harsh chemicals, no additives. Just your body being reminded of how it used to move, gently waking up the muscles of your intestines. But for those who prefer not to ingest anything, there's an external option that's equally comforting. A warm castor oil pack placed over the lower abdomen can be just as powerful. Not in the instant way an oral dose might be, but in the way it soothes inflammation, stimulates circulation, and invites the body to return to balance. Imagine this. You're lying down in bed or on your recliner, soft towel beneath you, heating pad on top. The gentle warmth seeps into your belly, relaxing tension you didn't even realize was there. Maybe you're reading, maybe you're listening to soft music, maybe you're just letting yourself be still. And over time, that ritual, done 2 or 3 times a week, becomes more than a remedy. It becomes an act of compassion for yourself. Now, here's the most important part. Castor oil is powerful, and that means it should be used mindfully. If you choose to take it orally, never go beyond 1 teaspoon at a time. Never use it every day. It's meant to support, not replace your body's natural rhythm. And as always, speak to your doctor, especially if you're on medication, have digestive conditions, or are unsure about how your system might respond. This isn't about embarrassment. It's about empowerment. Because regularity isn't just a physical need, it's part of your vitality. When your body releases what it no longer needs, you feel lighter, clearer, more in tune with yourself. And that clarity, that comfort, you deserve it. So don't shy away from this part of your wellness. Honor it. Support it gently. Let castor oil be a quiet ally, just waiting in your cabinet for the moments when your body says, "A little help, please." Because there's dignity in listening to what your body needs, and great peace in finding relief the natural way. Part 6. Healing cracks, cuts, and tender spots. There's a quiet truth that comes with age. The smallest things start to matter more. A paper cut that stings longer than it used to. A crack in your heel that never quite closes. A tender spot on your elbow that keeps reminding you it's there. Our skin, once so resilient, begins to thin, to bruise easier, to hold on to the memory of every bump and scratch. And while these may seem minor, they affect how we move, how we sleep, even how we feel in our own bodies. Because when something hurts, even a little, it's hard to feel fully at peace. That's where castor oil enters, not as a cure-all, but as a soft, steady helper. For generations, it's been used to promote healing in places we often overlook. Not just the big wounds, but the little ones, the ones we try to shrug off, the ones we think aren't worth tending to. But they are, because every part of you deserves care, not just the visible parts, not just the ones that others notice. Castor oil works by creating a moist environment on the skin, and that matters more than you think. You see, when wounds dry out and scab, they can crack open again and again, especially in places like fingers, heels, or elbows. But when kept moist, protected, and soothed, the skin can rebuild more gently, more completely. Castor oil helps make that happen. It contains ricinoleic acid, a unique compound known to calm inflammation, reduce pain, and even fight off mild bacteria or fungi. It doesn't burn. It doesn't sting. It just comforts. And the beauty of it is in the simplicity. A clean finger or cotton swab. A drop or two of castor oil. A soft dressing if needed. That's it. You don't need a cabinet full of products. You just need presence, intention, a willingness to tend to yourself the way you once tended to others, with tenderness, with care, with patience. Imagine this. You've had a long day. Your heels feel rough from walking around the house. Your hands show every dish you've washed, every letter you've written, every grandchild's toy you've picked up. And before bed, you pause. You pour a little oil into your palm. You massage it into your heels, your knuckles, maybe even that tender spot on your knee. You breathe. You slow down. You feel something shift. Not just in your skin, but in your spirit. That's healing. And it doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be consistent, kind, intentional. So whether it's a scratch that won't fade, a cracked cuticle, or just a place that feels a little more fragile than it used to, don't brush it off. Don't say, "It's nothing," because it is something. It's your body asking for care. And with castor oil, you can answer that call, not with noise, not with urgency, but with something much stronger. Quiet, nourishing attention. Because even the smallest parts of you deserve softness. Even the places no one sees still carry your story. And every time you choose to care for them, you remind yourself you are still whole, still healing, and still worthy of every gentle moment you give. So now we've walked through 6 small but powerful ways castor oil can quietly support you. Dry skin, restless nights, tender hair, slow digestion, soft immunity, and healing those little nicks life leaves behind. And no, it's not a miracle cure. It won't turn back time or erase every ache. But that was never the point. What it does do, beautifully and reliably, is remind you that care doesn't have to be loud to be real. That tending to yourself doesn't have to come with guilt or urgency. That a simple nightly ritual, a drop of oil, a warm cloth, a few slow breaths, can become an act of deep self-respect. You don't need to chase youth. You don't need 10-step routines or promises in fancy packaging. You just need a little time, a little intention, and a lot of grace for the body that's carried you this far. Because you are still here, still becoming, still worthy of gentle things. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are still a home worth tending to. So if anything today gave you a new idea or just a small sigh of peace, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Share how you've used castor oil or what you're inspired to try. Like this video if it touched you. Subscribe if you'd like to walk this journey with us again, because there's more gentle wisdom ahead. And we'll be right here when you're ready.